Hello everyone, Mrs Blackwell here, and I've got a book that I'm going to share with you. It's one of my favourite books. It's called Be More Bernard by Simon Philip and Kate Hindley. I acted like a bunny should act. I did what I believed was right. I twitched my nose, I pricked my ears, I grazed on grass and dug deep holes in gardens and fields because that's what bunnies do. And when I wasn't doing those things, I tried to look as cute as I possibly could. When the other bunnies bounced, I bounced. When they hopped, I hopped. When they slept, I did too. Like them, I dreamed. But my dreams weren't the same. They were less rabbity, more unusual. I tried to pretend that all was normal, that my dreams didn't matter. Bernard, they'd ask, what do you dream about? The same as you, I'd lie. Carrots, they'd ask. Yes, I'd lie again, the orange ones. They were terrible, terrible lies. Day after day I continued my act, being the same as everyone else, twitching, digging, looking as cute as I possibly could. I ate more lettuce than any bunny should ever have to eat. The rest of them ate other things too, things that shouldn't be eaten, and that's where I drew the line. I can't do this anymore, I decided. I started small. At first it felt a little odd, bouncing when the others hopped, hopping when the others bounced. But soon it felt strangely normal. At work, I acted just like before. Well, mostly. And bedtime had never been so much fun. When the others slept, I began to take some risks. A few bunnies were suspicious, but most didn't take much notice. Then, when the moment felt right, as at Bertie and Brenda's annual bunny ball, I finally went further and noticed they most definitely did. They stood startled like rabbits caught in the headlights. You can't wear that, they cried. You're a bunny, they insisted. We're all the same, they chorused. But I wasn't. I twirled and sashayed away from their shouts until my world was spinning faster than it had ever spun before. I felt free and fabulous and me. And well, a bit sick, probably because of the lettuce and maybe the spinning too. I didn't just bounce and hop. I strutted and swaggered and peacocked and hustled. I grooved with grace. I jived with joy. Glitter glistened and sequins shimmered in the lovely luminous lights. It was wonderful. Most of the others were horrified, blinded by the twinkle of my toes and maybe the disco ball, possibly my outfit too. He stands out like a bunny at a disco, Brian cried. He is a bunny at a disco, Bonnie squeaked. Doesn't he know we're supposed to be the same? Bella wailed. But there was one bunny, Betsy, who wasn't horrified. I like it, she said. It's different. Soon Betsy was just as groovy and happy and different as me. I got the others thinking, and before I knew it, we were all as different as each other. Once we were all boogied out, we sat in happy silence. Then I asked the question I was desperate for them to answer. Do you really dream of carrots? For a while nobody said a word, but eventually Brian spoke. I hate carrots, he said. I dream of cheese. Me too, Bonnie smiled, and music. It's ballet for me, Betsy explained. And I dream of hats, Bella laughed. Fabulous, fancy hats. As they shared their dreams, I could tell their hearts were dancing just like mine. And so now, even though we're all the same in many ways, we can all agree that being yourself is the best thing a bunny can be.
Hi, I'm Mel. Thought I'd read this book to you. I read this to my kids when they were young and it was their favourite book, so hope you enjoy it. It is called 5 Minutes Peace. We all need that. The children were having breakfast. This was not a pleasant sight. Mrs. Large took a tray from the cupboard. She set it with a teapot, a milk jug, her favourite cup and saucer, a plate of marmalade, toast and leftover cake from yesterday. She stuffed the morning paper into her pocket and sneaked off towards the door. "Where are you going with the tray, Mum?" asked Laura. "To the bathroom," said Mrs. Large. "Why?" asked the other two children. "Because I want 5 minutes peace from you lot," said Mrs. Large. "That's why." "Can we come?" asked Lester, as they trailed up the stairs behind her. "No," said Mrs. Large, "you can't." "What shall we do then?" asked Laura. "You can play," said Mrs. Large. "Downstairs by yourselves and keep an eye on the baby." "I'm not a baby," muttered the little one. Mrs. Large ran a deep hot bath. She emptied half a bottle of bath foam into the water, plonked on her bathroom hat and got in. She poured herself a cup of tea and lay back with closed eyes. It was heaven. "Can I play my tune?" asked Lester. Mrs. Large opened one eye. "Must you?" she asked. "I've been practicing," said Lester. "You told me I can. Can I? Please, just for 1 minute." "Go on then," sighed Mrs. Large. So Lester played. He played "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star" 3.5 times. In came Laura. "Can I read you a page from my reading book?" she asked. "No, Laura," said Mrs. Large. "Go on, all of you, off downstairs." "You let Lester play his tune," said Laura. "I heard you. You like him better than me. It's not fair." "Oh, don't be silly, Laura," said Mrs. Large. "Go on then, just 1 page." So Laura read. She read 4.5 pages of Little Red Riding Hood. In came the little one with a trunk full of toys. "For you," he beamed, flinging them all into the bath water. "Thank you, dear," said Mrs. Large weakly. "Can I see cartoons in the paper?" asked Laura. "Can I have the cake?" asked Lester. "Can I get in with you?" asked the little one. Mrs. Large groaned. In the end, they all got in. The little one was in such a hurry that he forgot to take off his pyjamas. Mrs. Large got out. She dried herself, put on her dressing gown and headed for the door. "Where are you going now?" Mum asked Laura. "To the kitchen," said Mrs. Large. "Why?" asked Lester. "Because I want 5 minutes peace from you lot," said Mrs. Large. "That's why." And off she went downstairs, where she had 3 minutes and 45 seconds of peace before they all came to join her. Hope you enjoyed the story. Hope you all get 5 minutes peace too.
Hello, my name is Mr. Gibbard, and today I'm going to be reading for you Jim and the Beanstalk by Raymond Briggs. Early one morning, Jim woke up and saw an enormous plant growing outside his window. "That's funny," he said. "It wasn't there yesterday. I'll see how high it goes." and he began to climb up the plant. "It certainly is a big plant," he said, as he went up into the clouds. When he reached the top of the plant, Jim saw a castle. "I'm hungry," he said. "I'll ask at the castle for breakfast. I hope they have cornflakes." Jim ran to the castle and knocked on the door. He waited and waited until the door was slowly opened by a very old giant. "Aha," said the giant, "a boy, a nice juicy boy. 3 fried boys on a slice of toast. That's what I used to enjoy eating in the old days. But I've got no teeth now. Come in, boy, you're quite safe." The giant shared his breakfast of beef and beer with Jim. "Is your name Jack?" he said. "No," said Jim. "It's Jim." "Did you come up a beanstalk?" said the giant. "I came up some sort of plant," said Jim. "It's that beanstalk again," said the giant. "It came up once before. That pesky boy Jack stole some of my father's gold and took our golden harp and our golden hen. And I've never really been happy since. And now I'm old too, and I can't even see to read my poetry books because the writing is too small." "Haven't you got any glasses?" said Jim. "Only drinking glasses," said the giant. "I mean reading glasses," said Jim. "They go on your nose and your ears." "It's me eyes I'm talking about," roared the giant, banging his fist on the table. "These glasses are for your eyes," said Jim, and he explained about glasses while the giant listened carefully. "Get 'em," said the giant when Jim had finished. "Get 'em for me, and I'll pay you in good gold." "I'll have to measure you," said Jim. So Jim measured the giant's head. The giant gave Jim a gold coin, and Jim climbed down the beanstalk as fast as he could, holding tight onto it. He showed the coin to his mother, but before she could say anything, he ran off to the optician. Well, the optician could hardly believe his eyes when he saw the giant gold coin, but he set to work right away. He worked all night, and in the morning the glasses were ready. Jim carried them home, and then he tied them to his back and climbed up the beanstalk. Now, the giant loved his new glasses, and he began reading rhymes to Jim as soon as he put them on. "You're a good boy," he said. "Now I can see you properly. I wonder what you'd be like to eat. I can't eat anything much nowadays because I've got no teeth." "Why don't you have false teeth?" said Jim. "False teeth," said the giant. "Never heard of no false teeth." So Jim explained about false teeth while the giant listened very carefully. "Get 'em," said the giant when Jim had finished. "Get 'em for me, and I'll pay you in good gold." So Jim measured the giant's mouth. "Make 'em big," said the giant, "and sharp. I like sharp teeth." The giant gave Jim another gold coin, and Jim climbed down the beanstalk as fast as he could, holding tight onto it. He showed the coin to his mother, but before she could say anything, he ran off to the dentist. Well, the dentist could hardly believe his eyes when he saw the giant gold coin, but he set to work right away. He worked all night, and in the morning the teeth were ready. Jim carried them home, and then he tied them to his back and climbed up the beanstalk. Now, the giant loved his new teeth. He jumped up and down, champing his jaws and gnashing his teeth until sparks flew off them. Then the giant sat down and looked at himself in the mirror. "Ah," he said, "I used to be a good-looking lad. Great head of flaming red hair I had. And now look at me." "Why don't you have a wig?" said Jim. "A wig?" said the giant. "I ain't never heard of no wig." So Jim explained about wigs while the giant listened very carefully. "Get one," said the giant when Jim had finished. "Get one that's red and curly. I'll pay you in good gold." So Jim measured the rest of the giant's head. The giant gave Jim another gold coin, and he climbed down the beanstalk holding tight onto it. He showed the coin to his mother, but before she could say anything, he ran off to the wig maker. Well, the wig maker could hardly believe his eyes when he saw the giant gold coin. But he set to work right away. He worked all night, and in the morning the wig was ready. Jim carried it home, tied it to his back, climbed up the beanstalk. Now, the giant loved his new wig. "I look about 100 years younger," he said. He put on all his best clothes and he danced about the room, beaming at himself in the mirror. "Marvellous! Wonderful!" he said. "I'm happy again. I feel like a new giant. And my appetite has come back too." The giant stood still, very still, and looked at Jim. "Fried boy," he said thoughtfully. Jim didn't wait to hear any more. He ran to the beanstalk, slid down it as fast as he could, and landed below in a heap. Above him, he could hear the thunder of the giant's footsteps. Seizing an axe, Jim swung mightily and chopped down the beanstalk, and at the very moment the beanstalk fell, something else landed beside Jim with a thud. It was a huge piece of paper, wrapped around a giant gold coin, and on the paper was written, "Dear Jim, thank you for the teeth and the glasses. Also, the lovely wig. Your friend, the giant." Jim ran inside and showed the gold coin to his mother. "At last you can keep one for yourself," she said. And somewhere in the distance, Jim heard the rumble of giant laughter.